delivery for the doctor.
Ah! It's the Kerblam man! It's the what? The Kerblam man!
You can't do that. I wasn't... We're in flight. That is physically impossible.
Doctor, look at this. The back of the packing slip. Help me.
I hate robots, did I say?
Yeah, and he's not too fond of you.
Is it me or are they pretty creepy?
It ain't you.
Why you two? That's robophobic. Some of my best friends are robots. Rule number 1, keep all loose clothing, hair and body parts away from the conveyor and never, ever climb onto the conveyors. Any person found on the conveyor faces immediate termination. I'm the doctor. I'm new. Newer?
Jarvis Slade, warehouse executive, your boss.
We've certainly got the clipboard for it. Be nicer to Kira, please.
How would you like a warning for insubordination?
I'd love one. I could add it to my collection.
Dr. Dame.
Gentle people skills advice for you, Mr. Slade. Respect goes both ways. The best managers, the really good ones, value their staff and know instinctively if someone's in trouble. Or is asking for help. Now, how good a manager are you?
You're fired.
I did it! That was amazing! We're amazing! Charlie! You're the man!
Oh my god!
Hello everyone, I'm here again with the ever mysterious and possibly non-existent Tony.
Hello there.
Yeah, who may be me throwing my voice according to some people. What are we doing right now, Tony?
We're attempting to deconstruct the episode that we have just seen of Doctor Who.
And what did we do while watching Doctor Who?
We decided to spice it up with a few drinks to make the time go by faster.
Did it help?
I think it did, actually. You know what? The episode seemed very short. I was just getting into it, and then it just suddenly ended.
Yeah. Well, it was eventful. It's called Kerblam, or Kerblam.
Chris, what is with weird names in Season 11 for the episodes?
Chibnall's trying to be, what's the word? Clever.
Yeah, because like every time I try to Google an episode, I don't really know how to spell it.
So what kind of lessons did we learn this week?
I would say corporation bad, capitalism bad.
Amazon is bad.
Oh yeah, Amazon is fucking terrible. Oh yeah, anthrax in the mail is also bad, especially if you can put it into bubble wrap.
It's exploding bubble wrap.
Yeah.
The headlines say, did the latest Doctor Who episode just make a dig at Amazon? Doctor Who's rolling critique of Amazon delivers. I'll say that anyway.
So what happened in the episode, Chris? What actually went down?
Well, they went to Amazon. We had some anti-capitalist stuff. And then we had some robots, including, what was his name, Twirly, who looked like the robot from Fallout. And then the guy was sexually harassing that girl, and then she got blown up.
Oh yeah, did you see that? He picked up her food off the ground and then gave it to her.
Harassment.
And then threw it out. That's harassment.
Yes.
That's so inconsiderate.
Bastard.
Fucking asshole.
Yeah. Well, one thing I will bring up, if anyone goes back to one of my videos that had the wonderful response when I covered the Doctor Who directors, I said that only one of them on paper looked competent and actually qualified to direct an episode, or write an episode, which was the guy who wrote this week's episode, which I believe his name was Pete McTeague.
Well, interestingly enough, this episode actually felt more like Doctor Who and less like Scooby-Doo, which all the other episodes feel like. It was a relatively interesting story. Like, I was curious to see what was gonna happen. The plot twist at the end was kind of stupid, but there were actual stakes there without, the whole world being at stake. I found like there was enough action, there was no pating shit. I think it was more Doctor Who than anything this series. Again, it doesn't mean that it was a good episode.
Well, no, but it's probably the one that Chibnall had the least involvement with, and the only one that was written by somebody that's actually qualified to write Doctor Who, well, write anything. So I will say, out of the 7 episodes thus far, it's the least terrible. But if this were, say, and some commenters on various forums were saying that this episode was close to the RTD era. Well, it would have been basically a filler RTD episode. It's not as terrible as the other ones, but that's not saying much. Although, I think there were still some issues. What were the issues, Tony?
Oh boy, well, Jodie Whittaker's face was an issue. The plot twist was an issue. Okay, another thing, okay, so I was actually, in the beginning, when I started watching, and I actually said this, I was pretty happy that they showed actual other people working in the warehouse. So that means there are actually other people that are present in the universe of Doctor Who, and not just the 4 characters and maybe 2 other additional cast per episode. And then slowly after that, it just disappeared. I mean, they bragged about having 10,000 people employed, and the only thing they showed was some CGI'd robots. Where the hell are other people or aliens or anybody? Like, I don't even care. Like, I don't mean other additional characters. I mean literally just the background people. It always feels so empty to me. I feel empty, Chris.
That is true.
Like, they were walking through the warehouse. There's 2 people in the warehouse. There are 10,000 people in the corporation.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, from the robots, but like freaking 10,000 people. Where the fuck are they at, Chris?
Well, that's like a classic Who thing. You don't actually see the people. Or like in the black and white days when you had a Dalek invasion, but you only actually had 3 Daleks because that's all they could afford.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, David Tennant's TARDIS was falling apart, but they fun, grandiose, scenes with a bunch of aliens and shit. Like, it was fun to watch, and here it just feels like a black hole, Chris. That's what it feels like.
Black hole to my soul. Well, it is devoid of, I'll call it, the essence. There's no, I guess we could say, there's no soul to it. It's just there. But, of course, being Doctor Who, there always has to be the political message of the week. This one was anti-capitalist. There were anti-capitalist messages in the original series. Robert Holmes was known for it. The Sunmakers, an episode from 1976, is one that comes to mind. So, in terms of subject matter, it wasn't quite as annoying as some of the other things that they've tackled, but it's still kind of rich coming from the BBC that doesn't actually work like a capitalist entity because it's it's funded by the license fee. When I was thinking of this, there was an episode on a BBC news program, I don't know if you've heard of it, but called Panorama. I actually used to watch it religiously until it went completely SJW like everything else on the BBC a few years ago. But I think it must have been around 2012, maybe 2013, where Panorama did a documentary. Basically, they sent someone into Amazon undercover to basically look at working conditions. This really felt like that documentary. I think I might still have it on a hard drive somewhere too. I'm going to see if I can find it. It was either Panorama, it might have been Dispatches, which is on, I believe it's on Channel 4, but I think it was Panorama. But yeah, so anti-capitalist from a basically socialist television network.
Well, isn't that interesting how a corporation is criticizing a corporation?
Yes, although the BBC is a public corporation, Amazon is private. So it's basically public criticizing the private.
Well, let's talk more about the storyline. What did you think of the story?
Well, there was a little bit more to it than the previous 6 episodes, because the previous 6 episodes all had really just one message or no message to deliver. This one, I think it's mainly because it was written by a qualified writer. Just basically, when you look at it, it looks like he's written for quite a few shows. In Australia, Glitch, Neighbours, Nowhere Boys. I've heard of Neighbours. Dr. Blake Mysteries. Apparently he's received 5 Australian Writers Guild Award nominations, so he has experience, and it looks like he knows what he's doing. So I think that's why this was the stronger script out of, because keep in mind, Chibnall's has written or has co-written 5 out of the 7 scripts so far. So I think that's just the difference here. It was written by somebody who actually knows what he's doing, although probably under directions. And I think this one they slotted in, we must do an anti-capitalist episode or anti-capitalism episode, and then they just handed it to him, but he did a better job than Chibnall would have done on something like this.
Well, I feel like Chibnall was the general editor of the writing for this episode.
Well, yeah, he is showrunner and script editor.
Yeah, there was still some stuff that are consistent throughout Chibnall's stuff. For example, I'm gonna call them the FBMs, the feel better moments. Throughout the episode, it's when there's 2 characters in a room or in an area, and they just talk to each other, share very sappy stories, and then tell each other that everything is gonna be fine and everything's gonna get better. And there's sad music in the background, and googly eyes, and fuck, I hate it. Holy shit, it pisses me off. There's nothing wrong with, like, reassurance and shit, but oh my god, every fucking episode, like, I'm just getting fucking
googly
pissed
eyes?
off.
Yes. But you said you did,
yeah, that's Yaz. That's Yaz right there. She was doing the fucking googly eyes at that actor person that I know, I just don't remember his name.
Oh yeah, the one that we'll have to look up. But you said, but you did like Graham this episode.
Oh, I did like Graham. He actually had a few funny things, and do you know what? I do like his dynamic with his stepson. Oh yeah. Okay. Speaking of the doctor, I know we're kind of all over the place this episode, but at the end, didn't you find that it was funny how the curly head guy? He was like in the middle of the explosion. First of all, why the fuck did he go down there? And second of all, the doctor just watched him get liquefied and didn't even try to save him. That was so funny. She was just like, yeah, dude, like one last chance, you know, come up here, and then just watches him die, and that's it. And then the very next scene, she just says, "Kerblam."
Well, she's almost like a non-entity. Like it's almost like they're toning her, or they're writing her out more and more with each episode, where it's like, yeah, Doctor, you're just a side character now. And there was the sonic screwdriver, which I know that you love very much.
Oh, I love that phalloerotic tension that appears every time we see the sonic screwdriver on scene, and how the Doctor has to rely on such item
for everything.
Every time she tries to be scientific.
And the arm stretched out thing. Actually, yeah, there is some how should we say, phallicness to it.
Oh yeah, of course there is. I don't think, like, how did the robot get into the TARDIS? Aren't there defenses? It just teleported magically?
Well, the Doctor was expecting a package, so I don't know, maybe it was speaking of the package, the symbolism of Whittaker wanting to be Matt Smith, and she got a fez, which reminded us even more of how she is not Matt Smith.
Yeah, where's the logic in that? So the system asked for help and sent her a fez.
Yeah. Well, she might have ordered the fez. I think she said she'd ordered it. Possibly. Well, let's just see. I'm going to do my fun thing of going to Gallifrey base, or as my talking goat calls it, Gallifrey place, to see what people are saying about it. So...
Oh yeah, let's talk about Yaz being the great policewoman that she is.
Oh, when she put the dude in the headlock?
Yeah, and failed miserably, because that was so... I mean, I did a class of proper personal restraining and blah blah blah. I've got my certification in it.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're trained to kill people. I forgot about that.
Okay, yeah, let's go with that backstory, Chris. Thank you. But yeah, that was just so funny. That was so pathetic. I guess maybe Chris Chibnall is secretly a genius. You know, the whole time from from episode 1, he planned Yaz to be a policewoman. You know, he sold her. She even wore the jacket and the hat thing for the first episode, only to hold a guy in a choke, 7 episodes later?
And fail.
Oh, yeah, and fail.
Well, she sucks. In the video that I put up earlier today being, well, actually it just turned midnight, but technically yesterday, I have now dubbed her the worst companion in Doctor Who history, which I think is an accurate assertion. Replacing what is interchangeably the 3 worst companions from the original series, Adric, you need to look up Adric, Mel, and Dodo. They're terrible. So, so we're going to take a look at to see what some of the forum titles are. Well, they haven't even filled up a full page of threads yet. Wow, this forum is dying quickly. Okay, so, how doctorish was the Doctor and her costume this week, and did her gender affect expectations? Well, no, she just sucks. Her sucking has nothing to do with her gender. She just sucks. Why were workers being liquidated?
Oh, yeah, that was... Oh, no, it was kind of explained. It was the guy trying to test out his bubble wrap. But how many times did he have to test it out? It's
blowing up. It's exploding bubble wrap.
Also, how did it liquidate them?
Well, it kind of blew them up.
Yeah, but that's not the same thing as liquidate. What? I'm confused. Doctor Who has got me confused.
I don't know if they. I'll have to. I have to watch this again tomorrow when I do my video. Maybe I missed that. Ooh, predict the ratings. I don't care anymore. I think they're being fixed anyway. Well, someone is making a point. Well, for those who demanded a political balance, we got a story where big business and big business executives equal good, left-wing activist equals evil.
Yeah, but we don't want that in Doctor Who. That's what we're trying to say, is that we don't want the pro-right, we don't want the pro-left. We just want a fun story with maybe some, layered commentary on issues that actually get you to think about them and not get an opinion, not actually force an opinion on you, but you get you to think about what would you do, or what are your beliefs.
Well, let's see, there's someone here complaining about the constant and relentless criticism of how political the show has gotten is just draining. Well, because it has gotten political. The Doctor is very dramatic with the sonic screwdriver. No shit. Has the Doctor got a health condition? Yes, she sucks.
And I think that's a terminal one, too.
Oh, fuck, I hope so. So could this episode fit in the RTD or Moffat era? Not the Moffat era, but it would be like a Fear Her level RTD episode. So we're going to see how the NPCs over on Gallifrey Place have rated this episode. Oh, not very good. Oh, it's...
I wonder why.
It's averaging between 7 and 8 out of 10. Yeah, could this be because the social justice warrior blew himself up? Or no, but not really, because he was oppressed. He just dealt with it in an improper way. One would think that a future company would be able to track that kind of stuff.
What, Chris? What did you think of Jodie Whittaker this episode?
I hate her. She just it was, in terms of story, the least bad episode, but she sucks. Like, at this point, it has nothing to do with gender. I've said it, I don't know, this is probably the 4th video in a row I've said this, but if they cast a woman that, was able to pull off the role and left politics out, by this point in the season, and had the series actually been good, I think most people wouldn't have cared. But the problem is, she can't pull off the role. It's the same thing every week. I have noticed that she plays it a little bit differently each week because she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. But it's the same thing. Like, her voice is annoying and grating. She still always looks like she's constipated. And still with the stretching arm thing with the sonic screwdriver.
Yeah, okay. I'm actually going to bring out the nicer side of me this week. I don't know why. But... Okay, I know it's actually really fun to hate Jodie Whittaker. Because, you know, it's actually really easy to hate her, because, you know what, she sucks. But at the same time, I do feel that she was let down by the BBC quite a bit. So think about it. So she's been cast, right? And she's been cast not really because of her acting talents. It's because they were looking for a female doctor, and Chris Chibnall worked with her. Okay, great. So immediately we have somebody who's miscast for the role.
So somebody who was thrown into it.
Yeah. And then, okay, so let's say she tries something. Okay, she tries to interpret the doctor and the doctor's character and try to make it her own. But then keep in mind, behind the scenes, there's going to be a director, there's going to be a writer, which in this case is Chris Chibnall, that give her the material and give her the direction. Maybe as an actor, maybe playing quirky things is not her. I've seen her in Broadchurch, and she is pretty good there, playing dramatic characters. But in this case, I don't think quirkiness and, like, comedy is her thing. But she's trying. And then with the terrible direction and terrible writing added on top of that, is just making the whole thing worse. Let's remember Peter Capaldi. A lot of people didn't like him, but, you know, after a while, a lot of people also realized it was not him that they didn't like, it was the writing that was terrible and letting him down. And then another thing that's not helping is that they canceled the Christmas special. They're having another delay in production, and it's going to be like a year until season 2 hits. Honestly, I think BBC is being sexist against Jodie Whittaker. I think they're putting her in a position where, you know, she sucks. Obviously, she's not doing anything to help the situation, but in this case, I think BBC is being racist against Jodie Whittaker, guys.
Well, not racist, but sexist. Well, there is
yeah, that's what I meant. Same thing, whatever.
Well, there is the conspiracy theory that the BBC actually do want the show to be cancelled. So they are sabotaging it. I don't think that theory really holds weight, because this is their flagship show and they've turned it into an SJW nightmare. But even going back to the Capaldi thing, even though he was given terrible material to work with, especially in Series 10, he was still able to pull it off. Like, you still, even though it was completely the wrong direction with the character, you still bought into it with his performance. He didn't come off as fake. Whereas Whittaker actually does come off as fake. And that's part of where the problem lies. Like, she was miscast from the beginning. I don't even know if they actually did an audition, to be honest with you. In the video that I put out earlier today, or was it the one I put out? No, I think it's one of my last 2 videos. I said that I would be more forgiving of her had she not been a complete third wave feminist bitch, because she has been completely, I guess we could call it, disingenuous to classic series fans. She basically wrote off the entirety of the original series as celebrating the white male gaze. With a comment like that, you pretty much lose any sympathy that I might have had for you had the circumstances been different.
Here's the thing. I have my own reasons why the Doctor should never be female, but those put aside, you know, there are ways that it could have worked. You know, I could have still liked the show if it was done well. If we had a female reincarnation of the Doctor and it was done well, and, you know, they explored the subject and they had fun episodes and it was good cast and good writing and everything. I was prepared to like it. But it just kind of added on top of it. So the reason we're so critical of, I think, all those episodes is just kind of like the stuff that piles on top of it. It's the poor performance, the poor writing. It's kind of just the disappointment of, we wanted to like the show, but then we're getting this garbage fed to us. And that's all it is. It's just garbage.
And if there wasn't any suspicion over the reasons for the gender change, I mean, I go back to Series 8, which was where the SJW feminist stuff had started to infiltrate the program, but hadn't completely taken it over at that point, so we hadn't really noticed it. When they first changed the gender of the Master, and for a record, my review of that episode from almost exactly 4 years ago is still live on this channel. you know, at that point we're like, wow, this is, you know, I thought this is, you know, a cool idea, kind of a cool twist. I wasn't, you know, suspecting that it was going to be ideological. I'm just like, okay, well, that's something that I wasn't expecting. So had they done something like this with the Doctor under different circumstances, where the Doctor is female, but only a one-off, it has nothing to do with ideology, they were able to find some kind of interesting way of integrating it into the story, I would have been perfectly fine with it.
But see, even though, like, when I think back about it, like, Missy just turned into a very creepy stalker ex-girlfriend for the Doctor. And if you think of her as the Master, that, you know, that childhood friend of the Doctor, that they shared so much from the David Tennant era, all the stories and stuff, it's really creepy and weird when you just get this paranoid ex-girlfriend mindset that's just trying to stalk the Doctor and try to get him to like her again. I mean, I think Missy was a great character, but don't get me wrong, I loved Missy as a character. She was great. I loved her when she was played by, what's her name? Yeah, that's the lady, Michelle Gomez. I'm terrible with names. And do you know what? I think she would have made a great Ronnie.
Yeah, well, that's, well, we pretty much all thought, I think I even said that in my review videos during the time, that I thought that that's where they were going with it. But I kind of started to suspect halfway through that it was going to be the Master. But in the first episode, when the reveal was made, we weren't really suspecting that there was an ulterior motive behind it. We now know that there definitely was an ulterior motive. It was to test the waters for changing the gender of the Doctor. But our concern wasn't, at that time, why they were doing this. It's just how it ended up playing out. But then later on, we obviously knew why they were doing it.
See, Chris, this is what happens. We try to talk about the episode, and we just go off on a tangent.
Yes, that's how these things go.
Because there's nothing to talk about in the episode.
Well, no, it's kind of, well, I guess sort of relevant. We were talking about the Doctor, but yeah, we did kind of go off. But there was more to the episode than the other ones, I think. Say, with some changes in characterization, had there been actually more people in the background, and say, had this been a David Tennant or Matt Smith episode, it might have worked. The anti-capitalist thing was done successfully in the original series.
What about that girl that almost had an orgasm over a gift?
Oh, the one that had, that her quirk was she liked gifts.
Yeah, that was literally her character. She doesn't know her parents, and she likes gifts.
And she met an untimely end. One thing that we kind of have to figure out is why, seemingly on the surface, was this the reverse of what we would have expected, where the corporation was a good thing in the end. But I think the other message could be, we don't like white male SJWs because the white male SJW turns out to be the villain. I think that's where they were going with this. I'm like, no, white men are still evil. We're just being sneaky about it this week. We're looking at it from another angle.
And the SJW, like the curly head white guy, actually looked a lot like the guy from The Thick of It. Ollie, I think.
Oh yeah, the conveyor belt bit was just embarrassing.
The high five that threw him off. I laughed so hard at that. That was truly funny.
Was it meant to be funny?
I mean, I don't know. How do you write something? He high-fives somebody and then he falls off. And well, I mean, I would have just killed him right off there just for the comedic effect. But
well, one bit of news that came out today, and actually just give me a second. I'm just going to pull it up because we have been discussing timely things as they've come up just for the hell of it. So I'm just going to go back to my Twitter. Well, I haven't gotten a whole lot of hate today. It'll come tomorrow. It's usually on my my voiceover reviews where I tend to get the most hate. We actually, Tony, we don't get a whole lot of hate on these, which is nice. So the news that I'm getting at is it's basically been rumored but not confirmed that both Chibnall and Whittaker are going to be stepping down after this series, or after the next series, so series 12.
Doctor Who's pretty much already in the ground, so I don't know. It will take a miracle to get it off the ground again, I think.
So this was on Doctor Who TV. Rumor, Series 12 in 2009. Chibnall and Whittaker leaving after. It's Doctor Who rumor overload this weekend. Long-running sci-fi magazine Starburst kicked things off reporting a couple of interesting updates on Jodie Whittaker's second series, which was last understood to be in pre-production. First, Starburst claims that the BBC source told them that Series 12 will indeed air in 2019 and will not be delayed until 2020. Who cares? The second is the potential short-lived futures of both Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall in their respective roles as Doctor and showrunner. They continue, so this is a quote. This is from the other article. New showrunner Chris Chibnall hasn't been very happy behind the scenes and is set to quit after Series 12. We can only speculate as to his possible reasons, if indeed the story is true, but Chibnall told us quite firmly in January 2013 that he didn't want the showrunner job. And it's possible that after the success of Broadchurch that the BBC pursued him for it against his better wishes, or simply that he changed his mind. Could it be that he's using this as a cover-up and they want to bail? I'm like, well, there you go. So you two came in, took a big shit on the show, destroyed it, and now you're leaving. Well, it's on fire in a dumpster.
I mean, this is unconfirmed, but I also read some speculation that Chris Chibnall wasn't the first choice for the next showrunner. And I'm sorry, like, the guy that comes out and says that he's out of ideas and that's why he doesn't want to do a Christmas special, that's like, wow. Even if that's not the real reason, because we all know that the real reason is because, you know, Christmas is bad.
Political correctness. Exactly.
But somebody who, comes out and just feels comfortable in saying that they're out of ideas as a writer after how many other episodes? Like, what, 10, 12 episodes in this season? I don't really know.
There's 10 episodes.
After they just started?
5.
What the hell?
Well, that's because he can't come up with ideas because look at the ideas that he came up with for this series. All of them have been shit.
Well, think about it. They gave the writing position to somebody who didn't want or wasn't qualified to be a writer for this show. They gave the lead role to somebody who wasn't qualified to do this. And not for the right reasons either. They cast the supporting cast because of the color of their skin, not because of the acting. I'm not saying there aren't any good black actors. I mean, look at that. I actually really like Ryan, especially in this episode. But like for heaven's sake, like, you know, if you really confine your casting choices, you're gonna get some bad actors. It's just awful in this case. It's just absolutely awful. The only thing that's holding it together, and we say this almost every episode, is that it's in color, and the music is good,
and it's in HD,
and it's in well, mine wasn't, but
it's high definition, 1080i.
Yeah, it's high definition. Yep.
Good
so kudos
1080i.
for that. But that's what you get. You get a big hot, steaming pile of shit that is Doctor Who, and because it's the BBC. They can still shove it down our throats, and then when it flops, they can be like, well, y'all are freaking sexist, and that's why the show flopped, and we don't have to be responsible for any of this garbage.
You were sexist, and you were mean to Chibnall, so he quit.
So it's nobody's fault, guys. It's nobody's fault. That's all it is. It's absolutely nobody's responsible.
Hashtag cancel Doctor Who. For at least a decade. Then it'll be old and close to death by the time it comes back again. For those of us that were around for the original cancellation, which was 29 years ago now, but I do remember when it was originally canceled. I remember because there was no Doctor Who the following year, or the year after that, so then it finally occurred to me, well, they must have canceled this, because there was no interweb back in those days, because I'm old. And then it came back in 1996, and we had the one episode with Paul McGann, and they didn't make a series out of it, so essentially we had it canceled a second time. So this will be our third cancellation.
That kind of hiatus was long enough for people to lose interest, then to gain interest, and then to come back and actually love the show. Whereas if you take a hiatus for like a year or two, I mean, look what happened to, I think Westworld did the same thing, and the ratings dropped. Same thing with Peter Capaldi, that absolutely killed him. with the ratings and everything. And now they want to do exactly the same thing with Jodie Whittaker when there's already controversy with her Doctor and with this entire season. What are they thinking? I mean, I'm not really understanding what's the
Well,
idea?
for Series 12, there'll be a case at the end to be made for cancellation because nobody is going to be watching this come Series 12. Like the SJWs will be long gone by then because they will have found something else to destroy.
Oh, Chris, I wouldn't say that. We're gonna be watching it, Chris.
Well, yeah, we'll be making fun of it, but there's going to be no interest in it. I'm like, why would anybody want to wait a year after watching this crap? Although it'll be interesting to see what the ratings are, but I think a lot of that number includes people that are basically just hate watching or just watching in complete and utter shock at what they're witnessing. Or people like me that watch it to tear it apart, although we're in Canada, so we're not part of the official ratings. I guess I haven't even seen what the ratings are like in Canada, but I don't think they're very good. Apparently, I think it's even getting less than 1 million in the US now, which is just terrible. So it's pretty much outside of the UK, nobody's watching it anymore. I don't know anybody that still watches it, and I used to have a ton of people. I think you're the only other person I know in the real world that still watches it, other than me. And we're not enjoying it.
Yeah, all of my friends that used to religiously watch Doctor Who are just, I don't know, they just kind of moved on with their lives, really.
Yep. Although I've been watching it literally all my life because my first memory is watching Destiny of the Daleks. That's how far back I go, when it was originally aired. My first Doctor was Tom Baker. I remember the Tom Baker regeneration and wondering who this blonde guy is. So I go way back. So as much as I hate it, I'll probably still continue to watch it, even if it's terrible and my only purpose is to make fun of it. But yeah, I'll be watching it next year whenever it happens, and I'll make my angry videos about it.
So that's pretty cool. I think my first episode was Blink.
So that's a good way to start.
Oh, it was so good! It was amazing! And that's what got me interested in the whole thing, and interested in the classics and Doctor Who in general. It was just awesome. And all the episodes after that were awesome for the David Tennant's era.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see what happens, but I'm kind of with Doctor Who the way it was with the Star Trek franchise back in 2005, where it's just lost its luster and it needs to go away again. And when it does come back, let's hope it's not a Discovery-type comeback. It's an actual good comeback. Although I think Doctor Who is at risk right now where it's pissed so many people off, I think it might have a hard time coming back this time. Unless it's gone for a real long time, because the fact that they've been basically insulting the fan base is not going to make people want to watch it again. At least not for a long time.
Yeah, did the Doctor, I think, during the previous episode say that she had sisters before?
Oh, yeah, there's the other rumor going around.
Is Chibnall trying to touch the canon?
Well, yeah, he is.
Is that what's
well,
happening?
He might be. That's a story that's been coming up where he's...
That unholy man is trying to touch the canon with his dirty hand.
Well, the rumor is he wants to add other regenerations that we didn't know about that were female. Which, for a lot of people, that would be the final fuck this to Doctor Who.
Yeah, no, I'm sad now.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I'm sad.
Well, not that we wanted to end on a downer, so Tony, what are your final thoughts on the episode?
It was better than all the episodes I think that we had this season. It was more Doctor Who and less Scooby-Doo. I like that. It has a ring to
There
that.
you go. That could be a
Yeah.
video title.
And I think we need to hire more writers that are just independent of Chris Chibnall and
Competent?
have them have a go at it. Yeah, that are a little bit more competent at what they do. And I think we need more Graham and we need more Ryan. They're awesome.
Yeah, well, I think it's, for an episode, it was the best out of the lot, but the serious problem, which is the 13th Doctor itself, was still there, glaring and holding it down. It's the iceberg to this episode's Titanic. There you go. That's my poetry for the day. So what do we do out of 10?
Well, that's a hard one. I'll let you go first, Chris.
I'm going to give it a 2. Which is my highest rating this season.
Do you know what? This cider made me generous, and I think I'm gonna go with a 3.
Oh, damn. Well,
I think I'm gonna go with a 3, actually, yeah. Because, I don't know, maybe it's just, after you ate so much shit, and you're given a proper meal, you feel like it's the best meal in the world, so I think that's what it is.
Did I tell you we were rating it out of 5?
It's psychological.
I'm kidding. No, it's not.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
You caught me, Chris.
No, it's still an F. It fails. It just doesn't fail as terribly as the previous episodes. Although I think next week is the one that's written by the feminists, so I think we're going to have a fun time with that one. It's going to open up one hell of a can of worms. Well, then...
Yeah, we'll see what the future brings us.
We'll do this again next week, and this will be up in the usual time with all the funny stuff. And yeah, so that's it. So, Mysterious Tony, possibly me, thank you for coming out again, and as always, everyone, thank you for watching, and have a great day.